Welcome back to virtual learning. Whether you be Green Day or a White Day student, we're going to take a look at some literary devices. And I'm going to work backwards a little bit today. The first thing I want to do is introduce this set of literary devices. This video is obviously available to you, but on the activity today as well, the PowerPoint will be there for you to reference and to use as you look through some song lyric analysis. Here in just a little bit. But the first thing I want to do is go over these literary devices. I then want to talk about expectations for this virtual learning window, no matter how long it takes. And then I want to show you the activity that you will be completing today in a timely fashion. So, literary devices. The first thing that's important to think about, and those of you know that I think the word literal is very overused, because I think some people just don't know what it means. Here's a perfect example. The difference between a literal and a figurative understanding is this. Look, it is raining cats and dogs, which it is not because, well, it's beautiful outside. But if it were literally raining cats and dogs, that's woof, like that is a dangerous situation. That is a perfect example of figurative language. Figurative language is language that is not literally what it sounds like it means. We talk like this all the time, and all the hip phrases you all use. He's lit. That's a really cool guy. He's not cold and he's not flaming on fire. That also is an issue. Dangerous like raining cats and dogs. It's important to understand the difference between literal and figurative understandings before we even get into literary devices. So, let's take a look at the first word in the unit, and it is just figurative language. Figurative language, word or phrase that describes one thing in terms of another and is not meant to be understood, ready, on a literal level. Think of figurative language as this umbrella under which we have lots of different terms. Anecdote. Anecdote, briefly, short, amusing, interesting story. Before I get started today, and I do this in class a lot, let me tell you an anecdote about something that happened to me over the weekend, and then we may or may not relate this to learning. Exposition is the opening part of a play or story in which the background is introduced, and we have rising action, and you can see the triangle here. Persuasion. The way we'll look at persuasion eventually here this semester, next semester, is just keep in mind in your everyday life, people are always trying to attempt to persuade you to do something, whether it's vote one way, whether it's buy a specific thing at a specific restaurant. In our lives, we're going to analyze, right, later in class, the ways in which people try to persuade us to do things. Setting. Hopefully review for you. I did Google beautiful setting here, and looks like it's out of a video game. Dialect has to do with speech. Maybe we'll get back to that later. Analogy. This is one that I think was probably on your elementary I-Steps or I-Learns. Boys to girl as man is to woman. We're taking a look at a relationship. Glove is to hand as paint is to wall. You put a glove on a hand to protect it, to make it colorful, to make it warm. Put paint on a wall to do the same thing. Alliteration. So, alliteration is the repetition of sound, and most of you are very good about this, with this. But this is Sam, the sophisticated Cyclops. He appears to be a Lego. We have a repetition of the same sound. Note, it does not have to be the same letter, right? Because Cyclops and Sam both have that same sound. Peter Piper picked a pickled peck of pickled peppers. I can't even do it. Alliteration does not always involve tongue twisters. Nor does it have to consistently be the same letter over and over and over again, but it is a repetition of the same consonant sounds in words that are close together. Metaphor. So Shakespeare said, all the world is a stage. All the world is not a stage, but we are making a direct comparison. He is a shining star. He is not like a shining star. That would make it a simile. Here's imagery here, and I always like to think of imagery. There are the commercials, right, with it's like the young couple on a beach and there's no one else there than the island. They have their umbrella and their beverages there with them. And I think it's a great example of imagery because if you've ever been to a beach, you know, as we write about it or as we see it, or in this case we see this wave, we can almost feel like we're there. We can hear the ocean. We can kind of feel the sand in our toes. That's what imagery is. It is language that appeals to one of, if not more of, the five senses, right? So we almost feel like we could taste it, we could touch it, we could hear it, we could smell it. Think about your grandma's at Thanksgiving, right? When you walk in, you already, in your mind now, you know what that smells like, all right? You know what that experience is going to be like. So I like the example here of a crashing wave because we almost can hear it, right? It never stops. Waves constantly crash in to the land there on a beach. Foreshadow we've talked a lot about in class. You all are really good about that. Irony. Irony is just the opposite of what you would anticipate. So it's a difficult term to define, the expression of one's meaning by using language that normally signifies the opposite. My favorite example, if you're aware of who Michael Phelps is, it would be incredibly ironic, and I hope this never happens. I love Michael Phelps. If Michael Phelps were to drown, that would be ironic. The late Paul Walker, right? I'm a huge fan of Paul Walker, not just in the Fast movies, but he was in some other good flicks as well. The fact that he did die in a car crash, very tragic, but certainly ironic as well, because he largely was famous for, this movie franchise in which he's driving cars rather quickly. But Michael Phelps, large dog named Tiny, a firefighter as an arsonist, also examples of irony there. Flashback, we'll go to flashback and flash forward there. Obviously, those do different things. Onomatopoeia, we have the cartoon sounds of whack, bam, pow, whatever. Personification, the toast leaped out of the toaster. Toast cannot jump. However, if you flip the little button and it goes phew, and you catch it, eat it. Trees are undressing in the fall. Trees, put your clothes back on. The leaves are coming off. Personification, you're giving human qualities to things that are not human. Simile, like or as. Your eyes are like the sea. What the heck does that mean? I don't know, but it gets the people going. Wise as now, fast as a cheetah. You are not as fast as a cheetah. Cheetahs, they're not kind creatures, is my understanding. By the way, I think it was maybe 2014. Pounce the cheetah escaped from the Indianapolis Zoo and was just like chilling outside his exhibit. Can you imagine us walking past that? Oh, hey, Mom, there's a cheetah there. Not great. Mood. So tone and mood kind of go together, and I have them back to back here. On today's activity, you will need to analyze tone on each of these 8 songs that I've selected here for you. This is a really good resource here, so feel free to use this. It is linked into the Lockdown browser activity. This gives you 155 words to use for a tone. So tone and mood, they do work together. But tone specifically is the focus for today, the attitude a writer takes toward a subject, character, or the reader. Look at that resource. A lot of really good examples there. You will have to identify the tone for each of these 8 songs. Theme. Talked about theme quite a bit. That is here for you if you want to look at those examples. Definition, feel free. Allusion is a reference to something else that has occurred. I'm going to give a speech with Mrs. H. I'm going to talk about courage. And I'm going to allude to someone in the past who has been courageous, right? Maybe Atticus Finch. Atticus Finch, he introduced me to this concept, and now I'm going to give a speech about courageous people in the community around me, first responders, whatever the case may be. There's an example of satire here I sometimes project in class. It's from The Onion, which is sometimes a rated R source, but if you want to read this one, feel free. Satire is just a piece of literature or something in the world, right? It can be a political cartoon. It can be a meme, I guess. Lots of memes and GIFs do this as well. But just poking fun at a human weakness or character flaw, in some cases, actually to ask for change. This example here is just silly. Symbolism, we know that a heart symbolizes love. Suspense is kind of this building of tension. Hyperbole, exaggerated statements. I've told you a million times. If my wife told me a million times, I probably would remember. I will not tell her that when she says I've told you a million times, because then I would be probably in further trouble. Meme is so old, last time I heard it, I fell off my dinosaur. You were not alive during those times. And then Cry Me a River is a lyric by the JT, Justin Timberlake. Impossible to cry a river, but he wants you to try. If you cannot get over it, build a bridge and cry him a river. Oxymoron, pretty ugly. Definite maybe. Freeze or burn, rolling stop. 2 words that seem to be contradictory. They work together and they make sense. Idiom, group of words established by usage as having a meaning not directly tied to individual words used. A blessing in disguise, a dime a dozen. Backseat driver. Nobody likes a backseat driver. And then juxtaposition is the last word for today anyway. It is putting 2 things together, taking a look at them for contrasting effect. Lightness and darkness, poverty and wealth, young and old. examples there of juxtaposition. Continuing into the activity for today, and I did want to draw your attention to the note here at the top. It is going to be crucial going forward that you are completing things during the scheduled block time. And I'm doing this for a number of reasons. But what that means for you is I've actually allowed a little bit of time before class and after class, because I know that very likely you were completing some things before the end of your previous block. So you will notice when you go into your activity every day that you have roughly 2 hours, at least today, I think it's 2 hours and 5 minutes today, to complete this activity. And you need to have it done in that time frame. Very, very simple. So please, going forward, pay attention to these deadlines. What you're seeing now is the virtual day for Green Day. White Day, you're going to watch the same video because you will be completing the same task. Your deadlines, obviously, will be a little bit different. So reminder, Friday and Monday, okay, so Friday for Green Day folks, you will have a vocab test. Obviously, that'll look a little bit different since you're not here, but we're going to go ahead and do it. Obviously, take attendance, and then I want to show you, actually walk you through what you are going to do today. So you'll see you only have one activity, and this is for Green Day and White Day folks, okay? So whether you are here on Wednesday or Thursday. You will notice the PowerPoint that I just went over is linked in here. Also, there are a couple resources for you, examples, some definitions, some assistance with tone. So feel free to use these things. There's no time limit on today's activity. Aside from, like I said, those 2 hours and 5 minutes that you have. Take as much time as you need. I do want to go into the preview here. So I want to show you exactly how this is set up. You have 8 questions, and each question is a song. I've also included the YouTube, music video, or at least lyrics. And you will notice most of these are from the early to mid 2000s. You are going to have 4 or 5 things to analyze for each of these pieces of lyrics, each of these songs, because really all songs they're poetry, right? They're just voiced poetry. So, for instance, with Nickelback Rockstar here, you're going to look for examples of hyperbole, poetic exaggeration, allusion, references to other things. Tone, your questions 3 and 4, you will have for each of these 8 songs. What is the tone, and explain why you picked that tone. Again, the resource there at the top will be a huge help for you with tone. Why did you pick that? Explain why you think that's the appropriate tone. And then lastly, question 4, in one case, question 5 will always be the same. You are going to essentially look at these lyrics and say, look, what is the writer or singer really trying to say? Or what does he or she want? What is he or she remembering? So based on the lyrics, essentially you're translating. We have these figurative lyrics here. We have these understandings that are not completely voiced. You have to read between the lines a little bit. What is this person really trying to say? Just real quickly, I kind of show you the other songs here. We have a song by Green Day called The Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Again, you'll go into repetition, personification, tone, and then same question for that last one there. What is the writer really after? Alicia Keys, Girl on Fire. Look, people, if the girl was on fire, that's a hazard. Okay, we need to spray something on her, get her not on fire. We obviously know generally a girl on fire has positive connotations. Going to look for similes, figurative language there. And then again, tone of the song, always going to be something. Katy Perry, Firework, obviously our favorite 4th of July song. I have personally never felt like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, wanting to start again. Talk about imagery. Those are just beautiful lyrics there. Katy Perry, you do have 5 things to do. For all the other ones, only 4. Next up, we have Taylor Swift, T-Sizzle, Love Story. Allusion here, people. Romeo and Juliet. She alludes to their story. Taylor, you don't want to end up like Romeo and Juliet. They poison and stab themselves. It's really not ideal. But I do love this song. You know, it's just good classic T-Sizz. Coldplay here, Paradise. We have some repetition here, among other things. We got some hyperbole. Look for that poetic exaggeration. And then when I say examples of figurative language, whatever examples of figurative language you want, I'm not getting specific there, whether that's hyperbole, metaphor, simile, personification, whatever you want to go with there. Feel So Close, Calvin Harris, figurative language, metaphor, tone, and then always again, the last question will be the same. What is that person really after? And lastly, I'm like a bird. Speaking of simile, like a bird. Figurative language, simile, tone, and then again, what does he or she want? What is he or she remembering? What is he or she trying to say? So look, hey, this video I'm going to link up on your quiz as well. This is all you have for today. And then again, Friday and Monday, we will do, among other things, more work with literary devices as well as a vocab test. I will see you when I see you, folks. Please, please, please reach out if you have questions, you have concerns. No Zoom, but I'm here, people.